Welcome to Technado with Don Pizzette, featuring sysadmin expert Don Pizzette, security specialist Daniel Lowry, and Peter.
Hello and welcome to Technado with Don Pizzette. I'm your host, Peter Van Rysdam, and I'm joined today not by Don Pizzette. I think he told us that he might be out this week, and the prophecy came true, but we have Wes Bryan, who, big common, guy that come in and, what do I call you? You're like the replacement. You're like the number one.
Yeah, I'm the fill-in.
No, you're the understudy, but you're
the understudy.
Yeah. Welcome, Wes. How are you?
Oh man, it's great to be here. I love being on Technado.
You guys have been busy. You're Technado.
That's
you're
right.
Filming A+, right?
We are, absolutely. We kicked that off this week. It's been going good. New set, new things, new ideas.
New
a lot of people looking
objectives.
at it. Yeah, absolutely. Enjoying it.
And Daniel, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Peter.
What are you up to?
I'm up to no good as usual.
Are you filming?
Yeah,
any
I'm filming
stuff
right now. I'm doing a web app penetration testing series.
Love it.
So, yeah, good stuff.
That's what the people like to see.
They do.
And we are joined today by our special guest. We have Chris Cain, who is the VP and GM of Electric Industrial Products at Keysight Technologies. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
How did you get both GM and VP?
Well, I paid double the price.
Okay.
There we go.
I think they're supposed to be paying you. I'm not sure. You might want to look into that. But, well, you've got some cool stuff behind you, and we want to get to know a little bit more about that, a little bit more about you in our first segment, which is Rapid Fire Questions.
Who do you work for?
What's new?
Who are you?
What's happening?
What's wrong with you?
Don't worry, those are not the questions. But what we're going to do is we're going to put 5 minutes on the clock, and we're going to go around and each ask you some questions here, get to know you a little bit more, and if you go over, we will buzz you. But we probably won't because we're nice people. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll ask you the first question, kind of a softball, but can you give us a little bit of an overview of Keysight Technologies?
Sure. So Keysight Technologies is a $5 billion revenue company, about 14,000 employees operating in over 80 countries around the world. And while we've been in business for 82 years, we've had our name for just the past 7.
Who were you guys before?
We started as a little startup in Palo Alto in a garage that was called Hewlett Packard. And then that was spun off to a company called Adhole Technologies in 1999. And then we spun out of Adhole in 2014.
All right. Chris, thanks for joining us. When it comes to the utilization of Keysight products, can you give us an example? What types of organizations are using the products?
So basically, anybody who has electrical engineers or technicians that are wanting to make very precise, accurate, and repeatable electronic measurements, that's our business. So a lot of electrical engineers use our products to design things like 5G, optical communications, internet traffic. We actually do a lot of protocol testing as well. And so anything that is can be measured through electronic means or a transducer, we're in that business.
Well, I will take your word for that. And if it is true, those things behind you look like they're doing something really, really cool. So there's always that. Now, that said, the most people that we talk to on our podcast come from a technical background, either IT or development. But you kind of took a weird way here. Can you kind of give us an idea of basically how did you get where you are today?
Well, let's see, 38 years ago, I exited from university with a computer engineering degree, which just meant that I could do both digital design and I wrote software. And for the next 10 years, and then, as they say, I went to the dark side, moved into management, and have been there ever since. I still keep a big toe in the technology pieces, and I still very much enjoy playing with different pieces of technology. My life goal is actually, I love creating things. So I moved from creating electronics and software systems to now I create businesses.
Makes sense. So what does your day-to-day look like? I joke that you're VP and GM of Electric Industrial Products, but do you still get to play with the electronics at work, or did you mean like personally you're doing that as a hobby, or is that still something you get to do on the day-to-day?
Actually, a little bit of both. I checked this morning, so my home IP network has 45 IP addresses, and I also have another 30 Zigbee devices. So one of my hobbies is obviously I play a lot with different electronic systems and integrate them together and do a little software, but not that much. I have equipment behind me that we sell, and once in a while I get to still play with that, which is a lot of fun.
Very cool. So I was looking through the website, and there's some really cool case studies. Everything from, I wrote down a few, like 5G towers, which you were mentioning, electric vehicles, hospitals, and wearables. What are what's one of the applications of your products that you look back on and you're kind of most proud of seeing it in that use case?
Oh wow, there's so many. I think one of the coolest things that we've done more recently is that there's a company in Australia that we're working with. We actually make a lot of radio frequency electronic technology, both wired and wireless. And in the wireless area, you can actually use RF. You probably know it as like radar in an automobile or in an airplane kind of thing. But you can also use that system to actually scan a human being and discern some things inside the body, kind of like an MRI, but at a different level of observation and safety, and it's very safe. And so we actually helped that company leverage our RF technology to create a headset that's actually put on people's head. It has a whole bunch of transducers. It allows you to image a stroke and note the placement, location of the stroke, so you can actually apply therapeutics in the first, they call it the magic hour. If you can get to a stroke patient in the first hour and start to address the stroke with medication or other things, you can likely save that person's life and minimize the damage. So that's a huge, obviously, helping intercept and save lives in that case, using our electronics technology. Very proud of that.
That's awesome.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
So you're saying
very cool.
So not like to let you know a stroke might happen, but after the stroke's happened, it lets you kind of pinpoint where the issue took place?
Correct. In just a few minutes, as opposed to getting a patient, an MRI could take time, and getting them prepped and in MRI more time. So if you can actually put this like in the ambulance, as you pick the person up and scan them quickly, that makes a huge difference in being able to discern the location and the severity of the stroke.
Very cool. That's got to be, like you said, rewarding to work on. Well, while we got you here, we wanted to get your input on something else that's going on in the world. So in our next segment, we're going to talk about the new norm here in terms of technology and how it's affecting education and e-learning. And that's something, that's very near and dear to us here. And we we IT training, so we're keeping an eye on that. But yeah, so much has changed since COVID, really, in terms of e-learning, and we've had to accelerate the new development there. So let's just kind of start off. What do you see as the new norm? Are we there yet, or are we continuing to add new technologies that are going to change that norm here in the near future?
So that's a great question. So I'd say we're definitely embracing the new norm. A lot of us are, like in this podcast, we're doing this in a safe telepresence way. You mentioned what I do every day as a VP and GM. I have a lot of meetings, almost all of them remotely. I've been working out of this home office. I live in Santa Rosa, California. It'll be 2 years in about a month that I've been working out of this office consistently in the pandemic. So one of the things that, like in the products behind me that we've invested in, is the ability to use those remotely from anywhere in the world, which of course is crucial to support things like remote or hybrid learning, which with the emergence of Omicron, a lot of universities have had to go back down into lockdown and do more remote learning, where there may be a lab full of the instruments like the ones behind me, but the students access them from their dorms or even halfway around the world. It doesn't really matter. And then be able to use them and operate them remotely or with somebody that's on the other end. And that's very critical to make sure that we train the next generation. As you said, learning and continuous learning are just critical, especially as we go through all the digital transformations that are occurring around us, all accelerated by the pandemic.
Is that something that wasn't in the products before that you had to add in once this started, or is it just kind of a feature that you've been expanding since the pandemic began?
That's a great question. We've always had it in there because we've actually supported global customers for quite some time who have to operate equipment remotely across a continent, across an ocean. But we've certainly ramped that up. In fact, when we introduced these products, they came with software that was specifically designed not only for remote access, but we also provide cloud-based software to help manage a lab full of these instruments efficiently. So we're developing more software technologies to allow people to utilize this equipment remotely, not just view it, but being able to control it, like reset it up for the next lab, the next exercise in a teaching lab. We provide software that does that.
So when you talk about remote learning at Keysight, are there products you make specific for that industry, or are you talking about remotely being able to teach people how to use your products?
So again, yes and yes.
Okay, all right.
So these products behind me were actually designed specifically for entry-level users, including people in educational environments. They're completely capable instruments. They actually leverage technology from some of our top-end products, and they've just been simplified, and they have a big screen, but they have all the same capability that a mainstream product has. So that's a great learning vehicle. At the same time, as I said, we developed this remote access software that can be accessed anywhere, and then we actually price them very competitively so that we can make them available. In fact, I just gave out 2 sets of these units at a recent IEEE event called the Rising Star event. So encouraging the next generation to come up to speed and become incredible engineers.
So it's almost like, I mean, we use things like, remote labs where we can log into a virtual machine or something. So it's the same kind of thing where students could get on there and kind of play around and, not screw up real world environments.
That's right.
Exactly. Or be able to recreate it. So the instructor can go in and reset everything back to the baseline so that the students can start again, or load it up with preset configuration for the next exercise. Or students can actually load it up with something they've learned and share it with their other teammates.
Very cool. So in terms of, how people would get involved with this, I know you've got the Keysight University courses. Is that kind of how people would interact with those devices?
That's one way. So we have Keysight University courses, it's e-learning for engineers done by engineers. We have a lot of YouTube videos. We're not unlike any business that people need to operationally know how to do a small thing. So we've got hundreds of 2 and 3 minute videos out there to help people get through the problem of the day, so to speak. And then, of course, we have lots of material that talks about effective and efficient use of products like the one behind me and other products that we have to serve our business of essentially helping create communications and computing systems for everyone on the planet.
So where would people go if they want to check those out?
www.keysight.com.
Easy enough. See,
There
I
you
like
go.
it when people actually can get the real domain, because otherwise,
You get the Key-Site International LLC. It's never fun.
Keysight with no vowels.
Yeah, it's all in Cyrillic.
But it's SIGHT, that kind of site, just to clarify for those that are just listening. So yeah, keysight.com, and you've got the university courses, and then the test instruments are there as well. So I think we can drop some of those links down in the description when we post this video. But yeah, that's really cool, and that gives people a chance to get in there and play with it. So, Chris, we want to thank you for taking the time to kind of walk us through that and share those with us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here.
Wonderful to be here today. And gentlemen, I hope you have a fine day.
You too.
And I assume when you said you sent those to someone, they're coming here. So I'll keep an eye out up front for the delivery of those new devices that I won't know how to use, but but I can learn. I can go to the Keysight University. There you go, and I can figure it out. All right, Chris,
Awesome.
thank you so much, and everybody, stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and look at the news from this week on Technado with Don Pizzette.
This is Kevin. He's studying online for a Microsoft certification and using another online IT training service. He's also on his second pot of coffee today to stay awake. And this is Kyle. He's also studying Microsoft but using IT Pro TV. Rather than watching a boring voiceover PowerPoint, he's actually enjoying the training with 2 hosts in an interactive format. Both Kevin and Kyle have access to virtual labs and practice tests, but Kyle can also get help through a live chat with other IT Pro TV members and his instructors, as well as post to a Q&A forum. He can even search for exactly what he's looking for in the interactive video transcripts, all while paying less than Kevin. Oh, and Kyle can also watch in comfort via Roku app. Kevin and Kyle are both learning IT, but Kyle is enjoying the journey. Want to be more like Kyle? View the plans to start your IT Pro TV membership today.
All right, welcome back to Technado with Don Pizzette. Thank you so much to Chris for joining us, and I'll see if I get any of those cool gadgets in the mail. I'll let you guys play with them. I don't know what I measure.
I bet you they're probably a little bit pricey.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Just because
we-
they have a lot of blinkies on them.
And we will break them.
So
oh,
eBay.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're going right
Yeah.
to
You
eBay.
ask
straight to
Dan
eBay.
about me. Dan will tell you. I'll break
Get
your
the
handle.
insurance on it when he sends it
That's
to
right.
you.
What are you doing? We're testing out the warranty.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that protection plan. All right, we got a lot of news to get to this week, and the first one comes to. It's funny. I looked at the domain and I was like, "Their cord." Nope, that's the record. The record .media.
That's right.
Didn't make sense for a second. All right, Chrome will limit access to private networks, citing security reasons. So is this saying that my Chrome, if I tell it to go somewhere, will not let me go to that where?
So kind of, but not the way in which you're thinking about it. So
Okay.
if you're like, hey, I want to go access a website, it's not going to tell you, no, you can't go to that website. So what they're trying to implement is a new protocol to stop malware from reaching inside of your own home personal network and accessing resources there. That's what this is all about. So it is a security bump, like so that they don't go, oh, well, how about that? There's a nice router at 192.168.0.1. Maybe it has a vulnerability that I can exploit and start to have some sort of conversation with it. And so from now on, what it'll do with this new protocol is it will say, if I receive a request for an internal resource, it must first pass the test that we allow that type of thing. If it doesn't, which by default nothing will, then it won't allow access into those resources. So it makes you safer.
And we should have those private IP addresses that you would think theoretically should be obfuscated, but there's attacks that reach right through those, right? Today, without this technology.
Even if they're like not giving it out, they're very common. So
Sure.
most things, when you pull them up out of the box and they got a network connection of some site, are probably defaulted to some sort of 192.
Sure,
Right?
absolutely.
Especially when it comes to like home routers.
And I could think of 1.1 and 0.1 right off the top of my head.
Right.
Yeah,
So
okay,
you
yeah.
just guess that is true.
Sure.
And it goes, oh, yeah, I have something at 192.168.0.1.
Okay.
Here you go. Let me pass a username and admin and password to it and see if that gets anywhere.
So the division between public and private IP addresses doesn't
Just kind of
mean
gets
anything.
blurred. So
Sure.
you're basically your browser becomes a proxy
Interesting.
from the outside to in, and that's where the danger lies, and they're trying to mitigate that.
And the proxies aren't anything new, right? We've been using proxies for a while, but we've been doing everybody goes through a web server. Not everybody has. This is a little different, right?
Well, yeah,
because everybody has a web browser.
Well, man, the proxies you're talking about are purposeful. Like
Yes.
we know and intend to use them for the purposes of filtering or caching or both or whatever, right? So those are great. When you don't know that your browser has become a proxy to a malicious group, that's a problem.
Yes, it is.
Right. So that's what they're trying to mitigate using this new protocol.
Yeah, when you said everyone has a web browser too, not to brag, but I have 3.
Oh, I bet you
Look at
probably
you.
got
Yeah.
50 tabs open too.
Don't be bougie.
25.
We got
They're
3
all free.
browsers.
They're all free.
Do you have a Veblen browser?
Don't know what that means.
Yeah, that's a fun word. Go look that up. Veblen Goods. Veblen. Veblen.
I've learned not to type in things that you guys tell me to type in.
Wes is on his computer right now. Going,
Enjoy your virus.
I'm not doing that. So is this, Danny, would you say like this is stopping a pretty common attack vector or?
I don't know how common it is. Honestly, I don't. I'm more of an attacker than I am a defender, but I do it for defensive purposes, right?
Yeah.
So as far as like statistically how often this happens, I did see a couple of articles that were linked in this article that talked about some use cases where that actually occurred, and it is kind of complex in at least from what I was seeing tertiarily. So I would assume this doesn't happen often, but I'm assuming that it does happen enough that
Clearly often enough that-
Google is
yeah.
like, you know what, we should probably do something about this before it becomes horrible and dumpster fire style.
On a negative side, though, from a system admin perspective, would this make anything harder? Like, oh, now you can't get to the intranet, or
So if you were like running a website, that might make it more difficult, right? Because now you have to understand that browsers are not going to be defaulted to the fact that it'll allow for this. So if you have an internal resource that you are reaching to, so if I make a request to a website and it needs to grab a resource that is internal to that domain, then these things need to be allowed. Otherwise, it's going to go. It's not the only way we've ever seen this before. This is what CORS is all about, the cross-origin resource sharing thing that happens when you'll see these headers in your HTTP requests that's what it's trying to help with. Like, oh, this didn't originate from me, therefore I'm not going to allow for it. It seems to be the same type of idea, at least along those veins. I haven't seen a lot of technical details on this, just an overview on what they want to do and how they want to work it. So I would assume it would be kind of along the same lines as that. You just have to add another step, maybe.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's take a look at our next article, which comes to us over at neowin.net. Adhole, the massive public Pi-hole instance, shuts down. And you know me, historically, I do not use the ad blockers because it goes against my religion as a marketing person.
Yes.
But is that kind of what this is? I mean, like, before we explain why it's shutting
Do you
down.
legit sit there and watch ads? Like, because you're like, oh, I'm a marketer. I can't.
Yeah, I owe it to them.
You know, I gotta hold it down. I gotta represent.
I think
right.
about
I
the
gotta help
poor
them
guy
make
trying
money.
to feed his family.
That's right.
You
You're
never
helping them
hit
make
skip
money.
ad.
No,
do
I
you?
skipped the ads.
Yeah.
But
Shunned.
But
You
I
were
watched
shunned.
those, I watched those 6 seconds. they make
Does
me.
that count?
They still pay.
Okay. Well, then yeah, it counts.
So what is Adhole / Pi-hole? I assume there's like Raspberries involved. Are there Raspberries involved?
Well, probably. Yeah. So, Adhole is a public service that is based off of the idea of the Pi-hole, which is where you take a Raspberry Pi, you put on the software called Pi-hole. It's written in Python, hence the idea of Pi-hole. Or actually, I'm sorry, Raspberry Pi, but I think it is written in Python. It just happens to pi it up.
Oh, man.
There you go.
Double
Pies.
Yep, there we go.
And what it does is it becomes a DNS server on your network. And so you tell all your devices, hey, if you need DNS, go to the Pi-hole. And the Pi-hole will tell you, oh, this is how you get to that site and how you get to that site. Well, it also has a list of tracking domains and just information stuff. Like we all know that Google, Facebook, YouTube, all these sites are just basically scrutinizing everything you do. They know when you take a dump.
I've heard that.
Yes, and that's not a joke. They literally know when you go to the bathroom and advertise, oh, we've noticed that you're off your schedule. Here's a stool softener. Maybe you need that.
Wow.
So yes, they are tracking you down to that level. So people are uncomfortable with this level of giving up information. So you take a Pi-hole, you put it on your network, and it goes, oh, there's that Google dump tracker. Let me go ahead and just block.
Filter it out.
It filters out. Basically says you can go, it exists nowhere.
Right.
And it goes, oh, I can't get to that. Everything else works fine. Right. So if you want to go to Google, Google will resolve and you can get to that page and search. But when you search, those first results that say add, they don't show up. You get nothing. Well, some people aren't as tech savvy as others, but they still want to, take advantage of this type of service. Adhole was born. Somebody said, let's just put it on the internet. And then you can route to us and we will block your traffic for you.
So you don't need a physical device on your network.
Right.
And all the configuration that goes along with
So
it.
why
It
is this gone?
is a maintenance nightmare. I have a Pi-hole and you're constantly updating it, working with it, tweaking it, because you're like, oh, now YouTube doesn't work because they hate us because they know we're blocking their ads. So, that's why I moved to Rumble or whatever, Odyssey. they don't care, but YouTube does. So they're constantly like an ever shifting. It's like a cat and mouse game. Oh, you block these? Well, now we've got these domains. So you're having to update your domains and list them well. When Adhole puts it online, people go, oh, that's great. I don't have to build my own. I can just rely on them.
But this is a free service that they're putting out, and
Guess
probably, like you said, if it's a pain in the butt to manage your own individual one at home, it's probably a pain in the butt.
Can
to
imagine
manage
having
a service
thousands
like
of
this.
users.
So can users now use yours, Daniel?
Can they use mine? No.
Yeah, can they just route all their traffic?
Yeah,
through you?
no. Mine's only internal, so I don't expose it to the internet. Yeah, there's that.
Well, you will have to find a new option if.
Yeah, if you're using Adhole.
And I assume there's others out there.
A lot of devices kind of have this stuff baked in. I know Nate. There's other services as well, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But don't quote me on that. And I believe that things like
pfSense?
pfSense, thank you. Yes, pfSense kind of has this functionality built into it. Other firewall / VPN connectors, that kind of stuff. A lot of times you'll see this as just a function. Oh, let me turn that on, and they'll have curated lists and things. You can just tell it to use those lists.
Gotcha. All right. Let's take a look at the next one here. And Yeah, this is bad. So is this who got pwned? No one's getting pwned yet, even though a lot of people are getting pwned on this one. Yeah. This is from arstechnica.com. Scammers put fake QR codes on parking meters to intercept parkers' payments, because a lot of those places now, let's see, this specific one we're talking about, it seems to be across Texas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. You go and you pay with a mobile device or at the that parking meter, and what's to stop somebody from just slapping a different sticker on top of that? And
Absolutely
would you do like a man in the middle then? Is it basically like I'm still letting you go and pay for the parking, but I'm capturing the credit card on the way?
No, this does not allow you to do anything. It was just a straight up fake site. The city of Austin or whoever it was that I can't remember. Was it Austin?
It's at Austin,
Antonio?
Houston, and San Antonio.
Antonio,
I'm not
yeah.
sure.
So neither of them use QR codes. So there never was an ability to pay that way.
Yeah, there's
Someone
nothing to
just
man in the middle.
Right. They just set up a fake page that took payments, put a QR code on, said pay with your phone, use the QR code, and people scan it. This is why you don't use QR codes, because QR codes are, I don't know what that is, right? It's just this blob of black squares on a white background.
And you're
But
just
scan it,
trusting
and
that-
it will do something.
Scan it, and it'll do something. Yeah. So
I'll give you an example. Nate, you mentioned him.
Yeah.
I remember a while ago there was an app called Tasker.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you could set up profiles, right? And you could attach it to QR codes, and it would literally configure your device based on the tap of that code. So can you imagine? I can't read the QR code. Can you imagine
not.
just
No.
putting those somewhere, just randomly selecting them and scanning them, and now whatever happens to your phone happens to your phone.
yeah, that's why we've been like security. The
community.
ecosystem community has been saying, do not use QR codes. You just, if I put a QR code on my shirt and you walk up, oh, scan, cool. Yeah, you just,
Is there
do
something
bad.
else that
Downloaded my malware.
that's like that would be safer? Like the one that comes to mind. And
UPC?
probably, I was going to say NFC. Yeah, like tapping the phone. Is that the
because
same
that
problems
has
though?
encryption. No, that has encryption built in. That's why you can go to a vending machine and pay, because there's
Okay.
like AES encryption on the chips, right? And it just makes the connection securely and then transfers that. If it doesn't make that connection, it's gonna go, what certificate is this again? Yeah, I don't know you.
Yeah.
Piss off.
And I don't know. I'm sure there are exceptions, but for the most part, at this point, every phone that's got a camera that could do QR codes probably has NFC. I mean, iPhone's had it for
Yeah,
the last
NFC's
several
been around for
generations.
quite a while
So-
now. Yeah.
Yeah, well, iPhone took a while to get when Google.
As they do.
Yeah, I mean, you were seeing Android users doing stuff.
I mean,
That's
I can
cool.
I can do that cool focus shift now with the new iPhone 13,
Yeah,
which is cool.
I've got 16 cameras,
But I can't make a payment on my.
do any of them. have
What they should
NFC?
just do is sell you a DSLR that you can read your email on.
Yeah, oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. All those old Blackberries now that don't work anymore.
That's
You could-
it. Just
Can you turn
jam
one
it
of
in
them into
there.
something?
Yeah.
Just shove that into a DSLR.
Well, the scary thing, if you look at like Samsung devices or just in general some Android devices, when you're trying to you're upgrading to a new phone or changing phones, what do you
Yeah.
have to do? Touch them together and you
Right.
transfer all your files.
There you go.
So you have to be very, very careful with something like that.
Because that sounds like someone could nefariously like bump up next to you, on the subway and initiate something, but you need to do something on your phone to say,
Correct.
Yes, I allow this connection. So back to the QR codes, though. I mean, I know like if I'm looking at a link online, I can hover my mouse over and I can see what that link is going to be, and I can get a feel for, that doesn't look right. With QR codes, I know it pops up something at least on my phone
Sometimes
to
it
say taking you to this, but they could just probably say
No
taking
different
you
than a
to.
link shortener.
Well, yeah,
it doesn't
typo
actually have,
squatting.
So nothing really you can do there.
Nah.
No, and
They're
you
just
wouldn't
dangerous.
know.
Don't use them.
So that's what I've always said: do not pay for parking in Texas.
Now I got to go replace all my stickers.
Yeah.
Apparently it took them. I mean, someone's got to go replace all their stickers.
That's right.
Are you the guy putting all those stickers on gas pumps?
No.
and stuff? No, just kidding. I'm so scared of gas pumps.
You should be.
because
Yes.
of all the things. And,
Dude,
and
when you look at some of the ingenious mechanisms that these people devise, I've seen it to where they've actually like configured an array of mirrors so they can put a camera on the one mirror
And
it
catch
can
the
see
pin.
what your pin is. Yeah.
yeah, I've started trying to use the tap one whenever I can.
Yeah.
At those, just because I don't know, that seems safer. Is that the same kind of situation? Where
That's
It's a
like
key fob.
NFC.
So-
Yeah.
It's NFC key fob.
Yeah. So, and a lot of times that doesn't even ask for a pin then.
Because it doesn't need to.
Yeah.
You've got certificates built in there.
So
Yeah, make that secure.
All right, so I'll continue to do that. Good to know. Daniel says that's the safest.
Whoa, hold on.
Yeah, I got the Daniel seal of approval.
No, it does not. Stop saying my name.
All right.
Danwell.
Danwell?
Yeah, Danwell.
All right, well, we've pointed out that someone is going to get pwned, so let's find out in this week's Who Got Pwned.
Looks like you're about to get pwned.
Fatality.
And it was the people of Ukraine this week. According to Microsoft.com over on their blogs, malware attacks targeting the Ukraine government. And
Again?
Yeah. No, well, not only they're initiating.
Why doesn't it say again?
Well, so this makes me think, there's been so much talk in the news recently about, the tensions with Ukraine and Russia ramping up. And it seems like when a war would start before, the first wave would be, the bombers come in and they bomb communication sites and they bomb supply things. That's almost what this is. It feels like that now, instead of doing that, well, we'll just bomb them
Digitally.
remotely. Yeah.
Through cyber, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It does seem like that, yes.
Because, I'll give you, two guesses of where these attacks are coming from.
Brazil.
Do they have internet
The Brazilian government is very upset with the Ukrainians.
No, I'm sorry. That was one of your guesses.
Oh, man.
The penguins of Antarctica have risen up.
Oh, that's it.
Oh,
That is it. I was
okay.
not expecting that. Oh, no, they're routing the traffic through the Penguin servers.
Yes.
It is Russia.
Ransomware over avian carrier.
I've never even heard of Russia. This is something you made up, right?
Yes, it's part of Ukraine, apparently. If you ask Russia.
You give them the opportunity, it will be.
Give them a week. But, so are these a new kind of attack? I mean, this is, like you said, it's just again. So it's just, just ramping up their malware efforts. It sounds like.
It said that the malware that they were using isn't, it looks like ransomware, but it's actually like deleteware.
Devastationware.
Destroyware.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you can pay us too, but
Not
we're
the
still
first
just
time
we're
we've
gonna
seen
take your
this kind of
systems
thing,
out.
right? So it looks like ransomware, but the ransomware gives the attacker control over whether or not they want to destroy the end host. Not physically, it's not going to burst into flames or anything, but even though I wouldn't say I would want that to happen, but it'd be kind of bitching to watch.
We talked with someone a long time ago, the guest, where they had done something where they were making 3D printers catch on fire remotely.
Oh yeah,
because they could overheat it. So potentially that could exist where we could just burn down your
Yeah.
data
Well, there
center.
was a guy that went to like a Black Hat or DEF CON talk one time, and there was a challenge that was issued at one of the talks that could you remotely destroy a disk,
Like physically destroy.
physically destroy a disk, right? So if we needed to, okay, I'm not home and my disk is getting ready to get stolen, I need to destroy it. Could you do that? Well, this guy was like an engineer, and
I called in a drone strike on your
he
house.
figured out how to do it, and he did a talk, but he was like had gone down this like tinfoil hat rabbit hole
Yeah.
and he did the talk in a full fire retardant suit. You couldn't see his face.
to protect him.
Yeah,
his
he ended up
anonymity?
like digging all these tunnels underneath his house.
Goodness.
And a fire broke out, and this guy that he had hired to help him dig, who lived in the tunnels for the week, right? And then he would take him out, blindfold him, and drive him around town, making him think he was hours away, and then drop him off.
He's his neighbor.
So this dude was straight up paranoid, and the guy died.
In the tunnel?
In the tunnels, yeah,
wow.
smoking. So he was also like a hoarder, and when the fire broke out in the house, it like blocked the exit, and the guy
sure.
couldn't get out.
Oh,
and he died.
man.
Oh yeah, it was horrible.
Would he just make the disc spin so fast? It would...
So he used thermite. He figured out the exact like formula of thermite he would need to destroy the disks, but not melt down below into the actual computer. So only the disks would be destroyed without setting the place on fire.
Well,
that's
apparently
not
he did not.
how his house caught on fire. His house caught on
okay.
fire from the digging and the.
I was going to say he did not.
And the
calculate.
hoarding.
Yeah, and the hoarding.
Not the thermite.
No.
Go figure.
I wish I could remember that dude's name. I think there was a Darknet Diaries episode about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like the perfect Darknet.
Yeah,
Diaries
it was very interesting.
So anyway, back to this.
Random aside.
This was not an effort to exfiltrate the data, not an effort to really get ransom, just an effort to really mess things up.
That's what it seems like. Because I think their targets so far has been like executive branch of government in Ukraine. So
yeah, this has all the
could just be some random a-hole.
Could be.
Probably not. Though.
Probably,
It's
yeah.
probably a very
Would you say it's probably an
pointed
APT?
a-hole.
You think like an APT or something?
An
Or you
APT,
think
yeah.
a big
Yeah, I wouldn't be
organization?
surprised to see.
Right.
Or just state-sponsored.
And I'm saying this jokingly, but this isn't a random script kiddie. This isn't somebody that just does this for a hobby. This is somebody that's got probably a lot of money.
Unlikely that it's a script kiddie.
Yeah.
It's like very unlikely.
The luckiest script.
Yeah. Like, I just happened to put all this stuff together.
It
And
just fell in place.
Yeah, what'd you
crap.
hack? All of
The
Ukraine.
Ukrainian
I
government.
fell down the
believe it or
stairs
not.
and landed on my feet.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Yeah, good for you. Feather in your cap.
Yeah, you can get hired anywhere.
Yeah.
All right. Well, our
Till the Ukrainian hitman comes along.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, anywhere but Ukraine
yeah.
is where you could get
You
hired.
don't want to go there.
All right. We're kind of in the same lines here with this next article, which is Behind Bars.
The song never gets old.
No, it
doesn't.
doesn't.
The law.
We still don't know the words to the chorus, but, you know.
Do you need
Back in
to?
the West, I don't
there we
know
go.
what they're saying.
Policeman, give you no break.
Sure, yeah, that too. All right, this one is from arstechnica.com. Don't do any more because we'll have to pay for it.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Busted.
Find us on Rumble where they don't care.
Russia says it has neutralized the cutthroat REvil. We said REvil, right?
I say REvil.
REvil. Let's go with REvil. REvil ransomware gang, a big game hunter. REvil has menaced the world for 3 years with massive attacks. This was the group that did the pipeline attack, the Colonial Pipeline.
I believe so, yes.
And so, yeah, big time group, and I gotta say, I'm surprised that it's Russia because I mean, isn't Russia kind of known as a haven as long as you're not hacking Russia?
You know, I don't know what's going on over there. They
Unofficial,
seem,
yeah.
you know, maybe it could be a complete, like a ruse, right? To say, oh look, we're being good, we're helping people, and then you get this level of trust, like, oh well, look, they are actually doing things, or maybe they are like actually like, no, we've just been after these a-holes and they're really good at what they do, and you know. It's one thing to say, arrest these people. You know, okay, well, we can kick a door in and put cuffs on people if we feel like it. Most people don't like that kind of activity by their government. Just
upon.
because someone asked you to kick my door in and arrest me.
Yeah.
You know, we need proof. We got to build a case. There's got to be evidence. It's not as cut and dry as go get these people. Now, there might be a bunch of evidence, but that's why we have due process, or we should. Don't get me wrong. I think Russia should be doing more about their hacking issue because obviously tons of hacking comes out of the Russian area and Russia itself. So it'd be really sweet if they figured out how to stymie that. And because they haven't been very successful at it or even apparently doing anything about it, people think that they're in cahoots, right? They think, oh, well, the FSB and REvil are just, you know, two hands of the same body, you know?
While guessing it could be politically motivated to bring this to light.
Right.
Gotcha. Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to, you know, have a nice scapegoat, get rid of somebody
Right.
that you want to get rid of, you know, distract attention from you guys. I mean, you
Right.
just change
I
the
mean,
name of the group and you.
We do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
We don't go in and take over something.
we as
X, Y, or Z.
Technado.
No, we as in the
America.
United States government.
We've
yeah.
never done that here.
They help people that would be on that have the same interests do it, and then we chuck them under the bus. Right. Or if they get busted, we're like, I don't know that guy.
Oh, REvil did the that meatpacking plant too. That was a
Yeah.
big one.
Yep.
And wait,
They are REvil.
other
And then they
REvil
went dark for a
victims?
while, remember? Because they were like, we're shutting it down, man. They're getting too close. Apparently they got real close. So, I mean, just the timeline off the top of my head makes me think that there was some investigation into the REvil group,
yeah.
and they were getting close to them. So they tried to dark out, and
Maybe they stopped following orders.
maybe cases you don't play the game the way they want. You get too big for your britches, or maybe that was the case. They're too powerful of a hacking group that the government couldn't control them even if they wanted to, so they just stick them in jail.
Or maybe it's because Joe Biden said, "Hey, you guys, stop it with the hacking."
Yeah.
Quit being bad.
Which is an interesting, take on it because Putin tends to just listen to everybody that talks to him,
Yeah.
especially with the United States president.
Well, he did say please.
He did indeed.
And
Well, I mean, would that not be quid pro quo at that point? Because he said, "Hey, I want you to do this, but on the backside, I'm gonna give you some good." I didn't say. He didn't say that. Yeah, just a joke.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, be curious to see what the rest of the people that weren't arrested start their new hacking group. What they
They'll
call
probably
it?
just hack from prison.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
You've
they'll
got
call them
great connections there. In prison.
cell block APT. I don't know.
I like that.
Here from the lovely black dolphin in Siberia.
Jailbirds.
Yeah. By the way, if you don't know the black dolphin, it's like the
Like
most.
the black swan.
It is It is a prison in Russia, I think in Siberia, that no one has ever escaped from, or something like that. Read the Google reviews on it. It's very entertaining.
Google reviews.
Yeah, they treat it like it's a B&B, and they're like, "Oh, I couldn't stop that dog from barking, and the bellhop here was very handsy."
All right.
Food isn't the greatest.
I bet. Yeah. All right, we got a couple things coming up from IT Pro TV. Webinar-wise, we've got resolutions for your IT career in 2022, expanding your IT experiences and learning new skills. That is Thursday, January 27th with Chris Ward and Adam Gordon. So head over to itpro.tv/webinars. You can register for that one. We've also got Blueprint for a Successful Pen Test, tips and tricks to maximize your investment. That's taking place in February 10th. That is with Daniel and Ben Fink from OnDefend.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, good friends of ours. We've had him on the show here. We've had him on other webinars. So.
Ben is a cool dude.
Yeah.
And smart. Wicked smart.
Wicked smart. All right, and head over to Technado.com, and you can check out all the latest episodes. Subscribe, send us some mail. Let us know what you think, what articles we should cover, who should be our guests, and you can also click that big orange button that says "Sponsored by IT Pro TV," and you can get 30% off the lifetime of your personal membership to IT Pro TV
For the lifetime?
coincidentally.
Not just for like a month or two?
For your lifetime. No, for my lifetime.
Oh.
Yeah, so that
might be
my-
shorter than you think.
That's my insurance plan. I'm like, I got
my
all these
insurance
people
plan.
that know
Yeah.
all of a sudden they're losing
right.
30% if I'm killed.
That's right. So they're just protecting you. You got your own secret service
Yeah,
at this
they're
point.
looking out for me for that
Yeah.
couple bucks a month. I'm saving. But no, it's more than a couple bucks. It's a lot of bucks. So
9,000,
yeah, I haven't done the math.
space bucks.
But you can also request a team trial and see all the great features available to teams from IT Pro TV.
As
So
a
check
Microsoft
that out.
Teams?
Yes, to Microsoft Teams. Nothing for Slack. Yeah, nothing for Slack there.
Oh, yeah. Not here.
A couple things for Jabber.
Oh, good to
Yeah,
hear.
we're still a couple people on that.
Good
I'm sure.
jabber community.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much to Chris Cain for joining us from Keysight, and thank you to Wes for filling
Absolutely.
in.
Sure.
And Daniel, you're just doing your job, so
I'm not fired.
nothing for
yet.
you.
You get to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
see.
that's the penalty for a job well done.
Yeah.
You get to do it again and again. And Wes, don't have to worry about that. All right.
He could just fill in for me. Everybody thinks I'm him and he's me anyway.
That's right.
So.
But check out Wes on A+.
Yeah,
over
on
at
the on-air
ITPro.tv.
page.
You
Absolutely.
can watch as they record live. So.
Definitely. Look forward to
Was
seeing
it a
people
couple
there.
weeks? You'll be doing that.
Yeah,
right?
about 3 weeks.
You're going to wear pants this time, right?
Well, they're optional.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a podium. That's why we have a
And
podium.
you can only see
Roger
from
that.
here up. So
Problem is he's too tall.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys next week right here on Technado with Don Pizzette.